How's it going, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little short. We're just going to be discussing some of the patch notes for the 4.2 update of Apex Legends. Firstly, we'll start off with the new town takeover. As you can see here, they just released it. Currently, they don't have anything in the store yet, but we will see how that changes in a couple hours. Moving on to duos and map rotations, starting today, we will be able to play duos and trios permanently on new maps. The new maps that we'll be able to play on are World's Edge, Kings Canyon Season 2, and Kings Canyon After Dark. Ranked will still be on the current map series, but maybe they'll change it. Who knows? We'll see. The reason they didn't add solos to this is because they didn't want to negatively impact the game, especially when it came to new players and their retention. Also, the queue times, if we were able to choose which map we wanted to play on, would probably be longer, so they added in the rotations in short bursts so that queue times would be up and we could play on different maps, which is cool. So moving on to balance changes. The first gun that got nerfed is the G7. They reduced the headshot scale from 2.0 to 1.75, the leg shot scale from 0.9 to 0.75, and they slightly reduced the projectile speed. The G7 has been getting some nerfs lately, which I think is a good thing. It was really overpowered when Season 4 came out, and I'm glad they made these nerfs. Moving on to the L-Star. The L-Star got a little bit of a buff, and it also got a little bit of a nerf. The buff is for the recoil pattern. It will be reset more quickly to avoid horizontal recoil, so it doesn't feel like it's uncontrollable when you're either tapping on the trigger or feathering the trigger. The nerf is the reduced time before overheating, so now it takes 2.2 seconds instead of 2.4 seconds for the gun to overheat, and they also reduced the number of shots before overheating to 23 instead of 25. So the Kraber also got a huge buff, increasing the headshot damage multiplier from 2.05 to 3.0. So now you should always be able to take down the target with a headshot, even if they're fortified, with a level 3 helmet and a full Evo shield. This particularly pertains to Gibraltars and Caustics, since they were the hardest to take down even with the Kraber and a headshot. There are also some nerfs to sniper ammo. They reduced the ammo per pickup from 10 to 8, and they also reduced the inventory stack from 20 to 16. It really looks like the developers are trying to move the game towards a different meta where we are more in closer combat fights than in long distance fights. With the pickup and the stack size being reduced, it looks like they're trying to make it so that people can't just camp up in high places and try to take pokes at other teams. So I think this is a good thing. If you're a sniper user, you're probably going to think differently. But moving on to the more fascinating part of this, some nerfs and buffs to our favorite legends. Okay, so our first legend that got a buff is Revenant. Revenant was a player that a lot of people thought was not viable, especially in ranked and even in public matches, which is kind of sad because all of Season 4 was supposed to be about Revenant. But luckily he got some buffs, the first of which includes his Silence Tactical, which they increased the duration of its effect from 10 to 20 seconds, so if you get hit by that, it's actually really going to hurt. Next of his Silence Tactical buffs is that it disables Gibraltar's gun shield. The next buff that he gets on his Silence Tactical is an increased duration of area of effect from 5 seconds to 10 seconds, meaning that when you shoot your tactical, it'll stay there for 5 seconds longer than it used to. And the silence has 2 charges now instead of 1, kind of like Bang Smoke, so that's pretty awesome. The next buff he gets is on his Death Totem. Now, if you go into it with above or at 50 health, you will respawn at the Death Totem with 50 health, and if you had any health lower than 50 health, you will be respawned to the totem with whatever health you had when you activated it, if it was lower. So this actually is a useful tactical now. You get 50 health if you're at 50, and you also get all of your shields, making his ult just that more viable. And the last of his buffs is that he is no longer a low-profile legend. They removed this, I think, because his hitbox is almost as big as Caustic's, and Caustic gets fortified, and this makes no sense. So, moving on to Lifeline, she actually gets a buff this time. Given that Gibraltar's been stealing all her abilities, I figured it was probably a good time that Lifeline receives another buff. So now she gets a secondary passive where she can access secret compartments with more loot. They're randomly placed around the map, and they will only be a mixture of health items, weapon attachments, and knockdown shields, sort of like her ultimate. And you probably knew these blue bins were coming if you were paying attention to the rank splits image. You will notice here that there is a blue loot bin that people were speculating about, and I guess they were planning Lifeline's buff for a while now, and rightfully so. Moving on to Wraith, she actually gets a nerf. No surprise there, they've been nerfing her left and right. Her portals will now disappear after 4 seconds if both ends are outside of the circle. They were doing this because people would use her portals to try to escape ring damage, especially in the last circle. It's here and there. I don't know how I feel about it. Personally, I don't care since I'm not a Wraith main, but leave a comment and tell me how you feel about that. So, moving on to Evo Armor, they actually reduce the amount of damage required to evolve the shields. So if you want to go to a blue shield, you only need 75 damage instead of 100. From blue to purple is 150 and not 300. And from purple to red armor, you have to do 400 damage. This is actually really good. A lot of the times, people would be afraid to use Evo Armor because it took way too much damage, and you'd be lucky if you found a team in time to even make it a viable thing to wear. Alrighty, last but not least, King's Canyon and King's Canyon After Dark gets a little bit of a buff, if you can call it that, and they increase the total amount of loot items that spawn in the map. That's it for today's video. I hope you guys liked that. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you want to see more updates on Apex Legends video. I will try to get out a new video tomorrow on the new town takeover map, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.